This is Kim Newlove, host of the Pharmacist Voice podcast. Thank you for joining me for episode 80. I'm breaking my usual format to celebrate an important milestone, 1 year in podcasting. I launched the Pharmacist Voice podcast with a single episode in December 2019. Then I started releasing weekly episodes on January 25th, 2020. Today is Friday, January 22nd, 2021, and I think it's about time I take a moment to celebrate my first year in podcasting. If you're new to the show, this is a weekly podcast. I alternate solo shows and interview shows. The solo shows are about my career change from pharmacist to voice actor, and the interview shows feature a variety of people who use their voices to advocate, educate, or entertain. A lot has happened over the past year, and I feel very fortunate that I was able to keep up with my weekly show for an entire year. Almost immediately after I launched this podcast, the coronavirus pandemic changed the world. Sharing my journey from pharmacist to voice actor as things unfolded during the pandemic was different from what I expected. I didn't expect a pandemic. I thought I would just be out there hustling hard to build my career in 2020 and sharing my wins and revelations on the podcast. 2020 turned out different from what I expected, but it's still a year worth celebrating. I worked really hard to get ready for my first medical narration demo. On March 11th, 2020, I achieved that goal. I recorded the demo. But 2 days later, my kids weren't in school anymore. That lasted until August, and it changed my journey. Instead of trying to work as much as possible right away, I had to ease into voiceover work. Then, my husband lost his job in May. That changed my journey even more. He got a new job starting August 31st with a completely different schedule. In fact, he was on the road a lot in September and October. You better believe that affected my journey. In November, he helped launch an Amazon fulfillment center as an operations manager. November and December were two of the busiest months of my life as far as being a wife and a mother. My husband was busy working. I was needed at home. All of these unexpected changes and twists and turns have affected my journey. I hung in there. I kept the podcast going. I kept learning and working too. My journey never stopped. I had to adjust my expectations and keep my workload realistic, but it worked. It's the end of January 2021, and I survived. I published 80 podcast episodes in my first year, and I'm still on my journey from pharmacist to voice actor. What else am I celebrating? I'm celebrating that during my first year of the podcast, I published 26 interview shows. That's awesome. I shared conversations with people I know either as a pharmacist, a voice actor, or my journey from a pharmacist to a voice actor. I have met a lot of people, and I enjoy sharing how my guests use their voices to advocate, educate, or entertain. After all, those are three things I do. I connect with people on a deeper level who advocate for something, educate in some way, or entertain. I won't put just anyone on my podcast. Some guests I've known for years. Others I meet in other ways, through life experiences, volunteer work, social media, or in the case of Long Haul Paul Pelland in episode 21, a motorcycle show. My guests are great, and I appreciate all of them. Let's wrap this up. Today, I'm celebrating 1 year in podcasting. I plan to keep my weekly schedule and alternate solo shows and interview shows. Next week is an interview with Jenny Barlos, Client Services Director for the Ability Center Assistance Dogs program in Sylvania, Ohio. Assistance dogs can be found in the workplace and in the community. Because pharmacists serve people of all abilities, we occasionally see a service animal with a patient. This interview is a great opportunity to hear how assistance dogs come into our patients' lives and how pharmacists can actually help connect patients with assistance dogs. Thank you for joining me for episode 80 of the Pharmacist Voice podcast. Visit thepharmacistvoice.com to subscribe and read the show notes.